Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we begin tonight inshallah with the dua upon completion of food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us with the means to break our fast, and for that we are ever so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our fast, to accept our ibadah, to accept our devotion and dedication towards Him. Alhamdulillah alladhi at'amana wa saqana wa ja'alana min al-muslimin. We thank Him for giving us food to eat and water to drink to quench our thirst, and the acknowledgement of how important this is through the light of Islam, that we understand food to be a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a ni'mah which requires one to always give thanks. Alhamdulillah. Moving along, today inshallah is our 14th night of Taraweeh. Alhamdulillah, we are going to be beginning tonight from a quarter way into the 17th juz, all the way to the halfway point of the 18th juz. Inshallah, very soon we will be toning down the speed to 1 juz a night. So we are close to completing 2/3 of the Quran, and inshallah, very soon we'll be doing 1 juz a night. Tonight, inshallah, we will be continuing with Surah Anbiya. And in Surah Anbiya, which is titled The Prophets, many great gems can be extracted. But in the essence of time, we just want to address some of the core issues. In verse number 62 and 63, it talks about an incident that occurred with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam's story is throughout the Holy Quran, Prophet Abraham, and there are many signs that actually teach us sciences that we wouldn't have known otherwise. For example, in the case that the community had an annual festival, they would go out of town, celebrate, and come back in the evening. At that time, Ibrahim alayhi salam said to his community, "I'm not tagging along today. I am sick." Okay? I want you to remember that word, I'm sick. They went and they came back. When they came back, they said, "Let's go to our gods and give thanks for this celebration and then go home." When they came to the temple, they saw all the idols were broken, except for one. The largest of them all was sitting fine, and the axe was hanging over his head. So they're like, this doesn't make sense. So they reached out to Ibrahim alayhi salam because they knew he felt this was a nuisance. And that he tried to explain to them, why are you worshipping gods that you're making with your own hands? Now, brothers and sisters, when we talk about this story, as much as we are monotheistic and believe in God and we don't believe in idols, at the same token, when we propagate this message, we should never do it in a manner that we are putting a people down or a faith down. Whatever people believe, that's their way, but never should there be a time where we put down other people's beliefs or their core tenets. The Quran tells us, in regards to other people's gods, the Quran says, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Don't curse the gods of other people. Never let this be a challenge of who's right and wrong. Because when you curse their gods, they will curse Allah. And you instigated this problem, and it shouldn't be so. So Ibrahim alayhi salam said he was sick. Then after that, when they summoned him and said, "What's happening here? Who broke all these idols?" He said, "Ask the big one. He's the one who has the axe around his neck." Although Ibrahim alayhi salam was the one who broke the idols, he said, "Ask the big one." But they said he can't speak. And so he asked them, "Why do you then worship? Why do you worship someone who can't speak?" ثم نكسوا على رؤوسهم لقد علمت ما هؤلاء ينطقون قال أفتعبدون من دون الله ما لا ينفعكم شيئا ولا يضركم. It was a moment of reflection for them. I'll give you one more incident before we come back to this. Ibrahim was traveling with his wife. And the guards of the king had stopped him and asked, who is she? Because the king was snatching people's wives away from them. Ibrahim a.s. said, my sister. So in saying I'm sick, in saying my sister, in saying the big one broke the idols, the question that we need to understand is lying permissible in Islam? Are we allowed to lie? Because on the face value of these stories, it seems that he lied. Because she isn't his sister, she was his wife. He wasn't sick, he was healthy enough because he broke all the idols. And then when he was asked, he said, the big one has the axe, he did it, ask him. So through these three incidents, we understand ilm kalam and ilm mantiq, the knowledge of mantiq, of conversation, where words are presented in a way that they may be perceived differently, but it's not a lie. Some may call it in English white lie. But the goal behind it isn't deception. The goal behind it is either safety and protection or to allow another side to see a bigger picture. So for example, when he said, she's my sister, he was right. Because from Adam a.s. we all are what? Brothers and sisters. So he didn't lie. But he did it to protect her, because if he said that was my wife, they would have snatched her. Number two, when he said I'm sick, he wasn't lying. He said morally, spiritually, he's sick and tired of seeing what his community is doing. So he's sick, but your mind might say, oh, he's sick, he's vomiting, he's in the bed, he's in the hospital. No. He said, I'm mentally sick of this. فَقَالَ إِنِّي سَقِيم, I'm sick. There's a very big difference in Arabic between saqim and marid. We'll talk about that another time. Arabic has a word for every state and every condition. Lastly, when he said the big one broke it, why didn't he own up and say, I broke it? Because he wanted his people to realize what they're doing is wrong. Whatever a person is doing on this earth, brothers and sisters, Allah will give every human being an opportunity in life to realize the truth. The question is if they take it or not. That was the moment for the people of Ibrahim that, hey, we're worshipping these things, they can't protect themselves, we feed them, they can't eat for themselves, we ask from them, they can't do anything for themselves, why are we worshipping these things? That was their moment. But then the command came, gather the sticks, gather the wood, and create a fire. They created such a grand fire, brothers and sisters, that even if a bird was flying over it, it would roast and fall in. It was so large, they never knew how to throw him inside. That's when the first catapult was made. They made the catapult and threw him, projectile, into the fire. And a tower was built for the king to see Ibrahim a.s. burn, and nothing burned for the 40 days he was in there except for the ties on his hand and feet. He was perfectly fine in that fire. So we learn from this story, بَلْ فَعَلَهُ كَبِيرُهُمْ هَذَا فَاسْأَلُوهُ. We're learning from this story and the other two stories that it wasn't a lie that he spoke. It's called ilmul kalam in mantiq. It's a type of tawriya, which is using an analogy which may mean more than one thing. And that's what he did. Moving along, we move into Surah Hajj. And in Surah Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins this surah with very strong words. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ اتَّقُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّ زَلْزَلَةَ السَّاعَةِ شَيْءٌ عَظِيمٌ. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ, O people, revere your Lord, for verily the zalzala, the earthquake of the day of judgment, is a big thing. How this earth will face its end and the collapse, how the sky will rip open, how the mountains will fly like clouds. It is a picture that the books have depicted that you and I should beg Allah to never see. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us from this world before the day of judgment. Say Ameen. We don't want to be around, because the people on which the day will come, the day that this earth will end, will be the most wretched and worst people. And this earth will continue to survive and sustain itself with the help and mercy of Allah to serve you as a creation, so long there are people on this earth remembering the name of Allah. These will be a people who will have no concept and understanding of who Allah is. May Allah protect us from that day and that state. Ameen. Allah says, يَوْمَ تَرَوْنَهَا تَذْهَلُ كُلُّ مُرْضِعَةٍ عَمَّا أَرْضَعَتْ وَتَضَعُ كُلُّ ذَاتِ حَمْلٍ حَمْلَهَا وَتَرَى النَّاسَ سُكَارَى وَمَا هُمْ بِسُكَارَى وَلَكِنَّ عَذَابَ اللَّهِ شَدِيدٌ. That day, every nursing mother, a mother's love for a child is evident from the time the baby is born. And even before that, when she holds the child and she bears the child for 9 months. But a mother who is nursing her child, such a connection, a physical and spiritual connection. On that day, mothers will let go of their nursing child. Women who are pregnant will give up their babies. They will drop their load. They will give these babies up. You will see humanity in a state of intoxication. They're not intoxicated. Allah's punishment is severe. With humanity running down the opposite road right now in the opposite direction, you see how evil and vice has become intoxicating on this earth. People are doing things and becoming such that no sane-minded soul can comprehend what's going on. Every day we hear something new that's happening in this world that makes us so puzzled. We ask ourselves, what world are we living in? What has humanity come to? When you think we've hit rock bottom, lo and behold, there's another bottom below that. It's a sickening world. It's an intoxicated world. And every person who's in a state of intoxication is a threat to themselves and those around them. The Quran is describing it, وَتَرَى النَّاسَ سُكَارَى. People are intoxicated. وَمَا هُمْ بِسُكَارَى. They may seem to be intoxicated, but they are not. وَلَكِنَّ عَذَابَ اللَّهِ شَدِيدٌ. But the punishment of Allah is severe. May Allah protect us all from His punishment. Ameen. We move on to the theme of this surah, mashallah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded Ibrahim alayhi salam alongside his son Ismail alayhi salam to rebuild the Kaaba where it once stood. Spoke about this a few nights ago. The Kaaba came down from the heavens, according to one narration. When Adam alayhi salam came down, so did the black stone. Some narrations say it was built on this earth after he came down. But it's the first house. It's not only the first house, وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ. It was placed for the benefit of humanity. Where is it? In the valley of Bakka, i.e. Makkah Mukarramah. Him and his son were rebuilding this house in the middle of nowhere. Like Nuh alayhi salam is building the ark in the middle of nowhere. And upon the completion of the re-erection of the Kaaba, Allah said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا. It's an amazing verse. Allah is commanding him, call the people to Hajj, they will come walking. وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. They'll come from all sides and all angles, from all heights and lows, they're going to come. The question is, there's no one there. There's no one there. Who is he calling to? In some tafsir of this verse, it states when Ibrahim a.s. made the call. If you had the opportunity to go to Makkah Mukarramah in the early 90s, where the clock tower stands today, there used to be a hill, a small little hill, like a mountain, above which there was a castle. It said that's where the Ottoman castle was. And next to it was the Hilton Hotel that was just built in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember in Ramadan we used to go, after Maghrib, you're going back for Iftar, kids would take cardboard boxes and they'd be sliding down that mountain, like, we do with snow. It was interesting. That is the location that Ibrahim a.s. stood up. And he called the people, come for Hajj. It is said his voice went to the world of the souls. And every person that heard it, whoever said Labbaik, However many times they said labbaik, they will go to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our labbaik. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us to His house. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us for Hajj. A lot of people are going for Umrah, mashallah. Hajj is very important also. Hajj is something that Allah said, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ, so that they can witness the benefits for them. You will be amazed at what you will witness in your life during the Hajj. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, been taking Hajj group since 1999. And inshallah, we have a Hajj group going for our community from this masjid, inshallah, in the beginning of August. I request everyone, inshallah, to join us. When you go for Hajj, you will see Allah's miracles. Back in the days when, I'll tell you quickly, back in the days they used to slaughter the animals in Mina. To bring the animal and to slaughter them. There was one year when there was a lot of flies in Mecca. Mecca was infested with flies. You'd be praying and there's flies everywhere. And that time in Hajj, where people were slaughtering and hanging the beef, the meat to dry, they dry it out in the sun. My teacher was sitting next to me and he said to me, "Do you notice something?" I said, "Oh, just a lot of meat and skin and animals, and I don't see." He goes, "Don't you notice anything different?" I said, "No." He said, "What's happening in Makkah?" I said, "There's flies." He said, "What's happening here in Mina?" No fly. Not a single fly was touching the meat. Why? Because this meat has been dedicated for Allah. The insects even know it. They stay away from that area. Between Arafah and then Muzdalifah by Mash'ar al-Haram, where the birds, the Tayr al-Ababil, picked up the stones, and then not too far from it is where Abraha and his army was destroyed. Back in the days, the Jamarat, the place where we pelt the stones, today it's a humongous wall, 5 stories. 4 stories. 4 stories. And it has a funneling system that goes all the way down. You can't understand that miracle. Back in the days, it was a bowl. I remember once I went in Ramadan, I literally went inside that bowl to see what happens in here. It's a bowl. But when you go at Hajj, back in the day, it was one pillar, and you hear that mesmerizing sound. Tick, 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 tick. It's being pelted from all over, and you see the pebbles rising. It's only logical this thing is going to overflow, but you see it rising, you see it falling. You see it rising, you see it falling. What's happening here? It is recorded in the books of fiqh in regards to that what happens is the stones that are being accepted are being taken away from the angels. And at the end, the rejected stones are there, and what they do come at the end of Hajj, they pick them up and they throw away. Thousands of those stones have fallen into this one small bowl. It's never overflowed. Why? This is one of Allah's miracles. There's so many miracles in Hajj. The purpose of Hajj is to prepare for what Allah is saying in the first verse. We all are going to die. We all are going to make our journey to the Akhirah. Rehearse your journey of death before your death comes. What is a sign of accepted Hajj? Where you can come back and restructure the priorities of your life. People say an accepted Hajj is you come back as a different person. It doesn't happen. That's why people say, I'm going to go when I'm really old and I can't even walk and my grandchildren are graduated. I'm going to go for Hajj, so I will have no inclination towards sin. Hajj means you go and you realize what life is. You restructure your priorities. You come back and you exhort your energy in the right places for the right purpose, for the right goal. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take all of us for Hajj. Say Ameen. Hajj is a very important practice in our deen. And I always tell people, and it's not a marketing pitch, with the conditions today, I strongly encourage people to go for Hajj sooner than later. The sooner you go, the better it is. The first opportunity you get, you go. Alhamdulillah, we have people, mashallah, now we see a lot of young people going for Hajj. They get married and go for Hajj. It's a very good thing. Get the obligation done. Let it not be that we die and Allah asks on Day Judgment. This was an obligation upon you. You had the means, you had the finances, you had the ease of access. Why didn't you go? We move on to Surah Mu'minun. And inshallah we'll finish with 2 more things. In Surah Mu'minun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the beginning of the surah, He enumerates exactly what it means to be a successful believer. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who find peace and khushu' in their prayer. May Allah make us amongst them. Say Ameen. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. They stay away from unnecessary talk. May Allah make us amongst them. Say Ameen. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. They're always giving charity. May Allah make us amongst them. Say Ameen. Ameen. Those who protect their private parts. Say Ameen. May Allah make us amongst them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَعُونَ. They are observant over their promises and their trust. They make sure that they fulfill it. May Allah make us amongst them. Say Ameen. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. Those who are safeguarding their prayers and observing their prayers. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ. Allah saying they will inherit. What will they inherit? الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ. They will inherit the highest level of paradise. May Allah make us amongst them. Say Ameen. هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. They'll stay in it forever. And then inshallah tonight we will end with the beginning part of Surah Nur. Surah Nur means light. Surah Nur means light. A beautiful passage will be in this. I think we're going to recite tomorrow about the light of Allah. Such a beautiful passage. But you know this surah, interestingly, Surah of Light begins with the verses of adultery. Why does a surah that describes Allah as Nurus Samawati wal Ard, the Nur, you can't even say light, because this is not the light that it's Nur. Nur is different. Nur is very tranquil. It has no center point. It goes everywhere. There's no bounds to its pleasantness. Why did Allah start this surah with adultery? The punishment of adultery. Very simple. I talked about this a few nights ago. We were talking about Sharia. There's no stoning in Islam. There's flogging. And that is when people are witnessed doing immoral acts in the open. In the open. That's punishment. Other than that, no one's business. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting this surah of light talking about adultery because I'll tell you one thing. When adultery becomes the norm in society, the adultery of the eyes, the adultery of the mind, the adultery of private parts, you will never touch the light of Allah. You will never be able to comprehend the nur of Allah. The nur of Allah will not come to you. Ask yourself, is it worth jeopardizing my Allah and myself, this relationship, because of my carnal desires? Brothers and sisters, I beg of all of you tonight, revive the sunnah of nikah in our communities. Allow our children to understand nikah is not just a practice or a need, it's a great practice in our Islam. It is half of one's deen. And for the sake of Allah, destroy all these cultural hurdles that are pushing kids away from nikah. Put away these 100,000 nikahs, these 50,000 dowries. Put them away in the garbage. Make it simple. Our deen is simple. No one can exist on this earth without nikah. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu made it very clear. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said, a person who does not marry is for one of two reasons. I don't want to talk about the first, I'll talk about the second. The second reason, they're becoming a fitna on this earth. I don't know why nikah is so hard. It brings tears to our heart that you see our children, they're 40 years old, 38 years old, 32 years old, and they can't find a spouse. Back in the days, our mom's friends, aunts, grandmother's sister knew someone, and across the world phone calls are coming. Today we have communities, we have brothers and sisters, we have our children. Get them married off. The Prophet Muhammad said, make it easy. Help them by understanding what are the hurdles that they're facing that is preventing them from getting married. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restore nikah. Say Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely finish off zina. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to feel the fulfilling feeling of the faith and its practices and keep us away from the intoxication of sin. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la